BWAAA.
I trash fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas. The trailer park is nice and dark, deep in the heart of Texas. That drinks his brew and he spits his chew, deep in the heart of Texas. The TV blares, but no one cares, deep in the heart of Texas. Here we go!
Hey there, welcome to BWAAA, a King of the Hill rewatch podcast. I am Mike.
And I'm Rusty Wimatanye.
Wimatanye, indeed. We are doing Season 1, Episode 3, correct?
The Order of the Straight Arrow.
The Order of the Straight Arrow, yeah. And this is, it's obviously the Boy Scouts, right?
Absolutely. Actually,
Cub Scouts.
It's actually the Boy Scouts. There's actually a thing called the Order of the Arrow. That's a part
real thing?
of the Boy Scouts.
Oh, really?
So this is the first time and the only time in pop culture that you will ever see the Order of the Arrow in a reference. And I guess it goes back to probably Mike Judge's younger days. He was probably younger, and he grew up in he was a Texas kid for some of his
Denton?
some of him,
someplace like
Denton.
that, right?
So I imagine he probably was adjacent, if not participated. I don't know if he participated. There was no information on that, but I'm pretty sure he was probably adjacent.
They probably did, because I mean, we freaking all did.
Yeah, it was a big thing. Yeah, it was a big thing.
All right, so this one, I am the keeper of the flame here, and the flame being the theme song. This one starts off cold in the alley.
Cold.
Finally, we got them standing there in the alley doing their beer drinking and doing their talking.
Yep, they're just BS and shooting it.
And they're talking about the Order of the Straight Arrow. And then they flash back to Cotton when the original Order of the Straight Arrow, as far as Bill and Boomhauer and Hank are concerned.
Yeah, you could see them. They're all little small versions of themselves,
little
like
versions
Funko
of themselves.
Pops. Yeah.
And then Cotton is giving them a dress down. He's talking about how those who don't find a snipe will be dead.
Yeah.
You'll be dead.
You'll be dead. Kill 50 men.
Yeah, and then Eustace, the one kid we don't know, fails the silence test, gives up his silence stick, and Cotton has to break it in half.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor little Eustace. Useless Eustace.
Hey, useless.
We don't know he's useless until later, but yeah. So Eustace is out. Now we're following around. Well, before that, we've got the dads behind Cotton. None of them speak or anything.
No, but you could see, you can tell whose dad is who. Absolutely, yeah.
They're definitely Boomhauer, Dale, and Bill's dads.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's weird because Cotton's really the only one that doesn't look like his kid.
He's the only one.
Yeah.
All the other ones they have, they're just like slightly different versions of what you get for like the main characters in the show, where
they're like taller and huskier.
The
or
only
something
thing
like
that Cotton looks like is Bobby Hill, and that's it. Bobby and Cotton are the only like he doesn't look anything like his dad.
And Cotton from day one looks like he's 1,000 years old.
Yeah, yeah, easy.
So you got little Dale, little Hank, little Bill, and little Boomhauer, and they're off in the woods, and they're talking about the snipe. And, of course, Dale is the one that wants to go out and catch them snipes.
Yeah.
and Hank has to tell him, it's all just made up.
It's all made up.
I love Hank's voice in this, or actually all their voices, but Hank's in particular because it's just a higher version of Hank's voice.
Yeah.
And so instead of going and hunting snipe, Bill says Boomhauer says they're going to get snackered.
We're going to get snackered.
With Captain Colonel's Bloody Mary mix. Just add vodka.
Just add vodka. Yeah, so they're sitting there slugging down some vodka
right.
mix, probably just tomato juice or something. And I want to do this every day when I grow up.
And Bill says he wants to drink like his dad every day, fly jets, and maybe be an astronaut.
Yeah.
And then Dale, I want to live in London. I'm going to be a rich millionaire.
Yeah.
Not just a millionaire. He's going to be a rich millionaire, and he's going to have people killed.
Yep.
And then Hank, he's going to sell propane and propane accessories if his grades are good enough.
Yeah. That's right. If my grades are good enough.
If my grades are good enough. Yeah, and then we kind of fade back to reality or to current times, and Hank is kids and their crazy dreams. And then Bill is so sad he can't blink.
Yeah. I'm so depressed I can't blink. Yeah, that's funny. He does it so deadpan, and he's just staring into the distance. Yeah.
And then we get our opening with the refreshment song, and I want it to be known: no bell, no yell this time.
No bell, no yell.
We just straight up the fast forward cartoon intro with the song, and then we fade into Bobby and Joseph having power drill fights.
Yeah, they're sitting there on that canoe, sitting there power drilling or whatever it is.
They're running at each other.
Yeah, like jousting.
Yeah, like they're going to joust with these power drills, but their cords aren't long enough, and so they both fall down.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fantastic. And then Hank continues talking about the Order of the Straight Arrow. Says he's going to make men out of those 12-year-old boys this weekend.
Yeah, coming of age.
That's right. That's right. And Dale says that he... without the Order of the Straight Arrow and his dad, he never would have learned never trust nobody. And that's how he knows that Bob Dole's faking that dead arm.
Rest in peace, Bob Dole.
Rest in peace, Bob Dole. Poor Bob Dole. Joseph is asking about the life preservers. He asks if he can bring the life preservers. And Dale says, yeah, if you want to be a sissy.
Yeah, if you want to be a sissy, yeah. Well, that's how it was, like, growing up for me, learning how to swim. Absolutely. I remember we were on somebody's boat at the lake, and, man, back then it was, hey, you know how to swim? No. Learn.
Push you in. Yep.
Boom, and they just threw you off the boat in the middle of the lake, and they would move the boat, and they'd be like, oh, well, swim closer. And as soon as you got a little closer, they'd move it, and when you start looking tired and wore out like you're about to die, then they would let you back in the boat.
Not related to that. There were a lot of child drownings back then.
There was a lot of child drownings back then, absolutely.
Not related at all.
Maybe not.
So after that, we see John Redcorn pull up, and this is the famous line, hey, Dale, there's your wife's, and then Bill says, healer.
Yeah. It's real slow. And, your wife's.
Yeah.
Healer.
And they want to ask John Redcorn about stuff. Well, they want to ask about funny Indian stuff they can do during this
and
trip.
He's trying to be like somber and sacred with what he's talking to them about.
Ways.
Yeah, the ancient ways.
Ancient ways, that's right.
And they just shit all over it the whole time.
Bill's like, or Dale's like, I like how you say everything is sacred. Let's do that.
Let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. What's funny about this John Redcorn thing, I want to go ahead and add something here. So the original voice actor for John Redcorn for the first 2 episodes died before the 3rd episode recorded.
Oh, shoot, I didn't know
So this episode was actually, I think the guy's name was Victor Aaron, if I'm not mistaken, the original voice actor for John Redcorn.
Right.
And this is actually John Redcorn's official debut as far as speaking in the TV show is this episode. But yeah, they had somebody intended to do the voice differently, but he ended up passing away before they could record, I guess. But his name was, I want to say it was Victor something.
Well, while you look that
up.
Victor Aaron?
Yeah, he died on September 4th, 1996, 5 months
3
earlier.
3 episodes in. That's
3
rough,
episodes
man.
in.
That's tough. But John Redcorn tells them all about spirit bags and Wamatania, the big spirit that watches over us all. And Hank is writing all this stuff down, not to miss a thing. He says, all right, spirit bags, Wamatania, funny looking headband.
Yeah. Extremely insensitive. And it was funny. I watched I had to send it to you.
You feel like he doesn't mean it, though.
Yeah, he doesn't mean it. It's just ignorance.
Bad.
Yeah, it's just ignorance.
Right.
And that's a lot of it is just ignorance. Yeah, but there was a really, I'll send you the clip, but it was a compilation of potentially racist, things throughout the entire series of King of the Hill. And that's the first one on the clip.
I'm sure.
That's the very first bit of it.
Yeah.
Well, because when the Laotian family comes in later on and stuff like that, there's a lot of stuff like that.
I don't ever think of, like, my wife and I we watch The Office all the time just because it's good background stuff. And there are a lot of weird, almost racial things in that. right?
Yeah, it couldn't be made today. I don't think. I don't
But
think
King
that
of
show
the
will get
Hill,
made again.
I have never taken it that way.
I never did either. The way I always took it as is like these people are like they've lived in, because I know a lot of people that are similar to that
Yeah.
they're not necessarily like hateful people. It's just like they've never met anybody
That's
from
exactly
a different
right, yeah.
culture, so
Yeah.
it's like their curiosity almost seems offensive, but it's not. It's just they're so curious they don't know what to ask or how to ask it to where it's not offensive.
Yeah, Hank just assumes that Redcorn's making it all up too.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
He just
And-
assumes it's just a
and
a
it's
crock
just
himself.
It's just silly. Bill, after hearing about spirit bags, offers all the ladies' tennis socks that he got in the divorce that they could use as spirit bags.
Yeah, his ex-wife's tennis socks.
He says, and every time she plays tennis, she gets what do you call it? The rubs. She gets a blister.
Yeah, a blister on the heel.
He goes, every time she plays tennis, she gets a blister. Hank says, Bill, it's been 6 years. Don't you think she bought you new socks?
Yeah.
All right.
I guess that's where we first see Bill's
his crippling depression.
his sick obsession too with Lenore.
true.
Yeah,
It's true.
It's a really sick obsession.
I don't even know that we've mentioned Lenore yet. We may have
Nah.
mentioned the divorce, but not Lenore.
I think the divorce has been mentioned, but
Yeah.
this would be like the first. I think this is like the first discussion of Bill's crippling depression, and then also telling us why he's cripplingly depressed,
Right.
and exploring that. Yeah.
So next we go to Bobby and Joseph in the tent, and they're basically practicing for when they go out on their
Eating hot coals. They're sitting
Sure.
there,
They said-
put the flashlight in their mouths.
Said that Joseph says he heard that you have to walk on the hot coals and then eat them. and they say, "Ooh, that's hell hot." Yeah, hell.
That's
And
hell
then-
hot.
And then Bobby's like, "Fuh," and then his mom comes in,
Yeah, and
before
he
he can
says,
finish the word. Yeah.
Bobby, I know half a cuss word when I hear one.
I know half a swear word when I hear. Peggy Hill knows half a swear word when she hears one. And then she goes away, tells the boys to get ready, and Joseph responds with, which he always has this creepy thing about women, but he's,
he does.
You have the coolest mom. She smells like Miracle Whip.
Miracle Whip. Of all the things, Miracle Whip.
Miracle
and she
Whip.
is like and it's funny because Peggy, that's what she reminds me of. She's a jar of mayonnaise. She's like the old faithful jar of mayonnaise, always.
Yeah, big square glasses. All right, and we're getting ready to go on our trip with all the guys, and Eustace drives up, and that's when Dale calls him useless.
Yep.
Shows up with Randy and tells him that he's going to love him no matter what, whether he gets his badge or not. Hank responds to the guys with, "Can you imagine how I'd have turned out if my dad had told me that he loved me no matter what?"
Yeah. Which then we learn a little bit more about Hank and his dad's relationship.
Yeah.
That comment there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and then we go to Luann. She is packing up. Peggy's kind of helping her pack. So Peggy's going to be all by herself this week.
Yeah, Luann's gone, and then
Luann says
they're going to order the straight arrow.
Yeah, she says that she's going to go see her mom. And she goes, "Well, this is just the arraignment. I'll go back for the
I'll go back for the sentencing later on." Yeah.
Peggy says, "Here's Fun Saver. Take a lot of pictures."
Yep.
And so and if you don't know what a Fun Saver is, it was a disposable camera. You hand off a Fun Saver to
A
somebody.
disposable camera. Why would you
Yeah.
buy something that you would dispose of, such as a camera?
So you take the 20, 25 pictures or whatever it was that the roll would hold.
Oh, okay.
And then you drop off the camera at the developer. They develop it and they give you back the pictures and they throw away the camera.
Okay.
That was a real thing.
That's a concept. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a concept.
And,
I know what you're talking about.
They
now,
would be they'd use them a lot in like weddings and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So they'd put these disposable cameras on the tables, and they may still do this. I don't know. They put the cameras on the tables. The guests all take pictures, and then the guests all just leave the cameras there.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember them doing that at weddings back then.
Sure.
Yeah, and then I remember mom packing it for church camp. Like, I'll take pictures, and it's in the like full wrapper, and you rip it out in a full wrapper, and it's just a damn camera.
It's crazy when you think about all the waste that goes into that.
Well, not only that, it's crazy to think about how many different devices we used to have to carry around with us to do all the same things our phone does. You'd have a camera, you'd have a iPod. I mean, you'd have all these different devices that you now could just do in one.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I think about that all the time whenever I see, well, again, reference to The Office, Toby is leaving to go to Costa Rica, and he doesn't have a camera.
Yeah.
He screams to the office, "Anybody have a camera?" Because he wants to take a picture with Pam, and then he has to go out and buy a camera and then come back and take pictures.
Yeah.
All right, so Peg is seeing the guys off, and she says, "Here's a Fun Saver. Take a lot of pictures."
She's rushing them out the door.
She's trying to get them the hell out.
He goes to start the car, and the car won't start, and then she, like, it cuts to her just, like, Peggy Hill, good old country Montana, corn-fed Peggy Hill goes out there and starts that big old Lincoln.
She says, "Pop the clutch."
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have to get going
That's a big car, though. That's a big ass car for her to be pushing by herself.
That's true. But
she wasn't hesitant at all.
She is a stout lady.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Hank has a little bit of prayer before they leave. He asks the Great Spirit Womatania to watch over us on this trip, and then he ends with "Pee now, because once we're on the road, we ain't stopping."
We ain't stopping.
And that's very much a family trip thing there.
Oh yeah, especially for my dad. The only person that he would stop for is my mom. Everybody else, if you had to pee,
you better hold it.
He would say, "You done with your soda? Pee in a bottle.
Pee in that bottle. That's
pee in
right.
that bottle."
So obviously, Peg's ready for him to leave. They get out and they get going, and Peg jumps in the truck and takes off. I mean, fast. Like she's like, she
she's
takes
gone.
off, boy, in the truck.
Hauling ass. She's ready to go.
So we're on the trip now with Hank and Dale. Hank and Bill and the boys in Hank's car, and then Dale and Boomhauer are in Boomhauer's truck.
Yeah, they're riding in the pickup.
And so we get the reminder that the spirit sticks are what they need to hold, and they need to be quiet as they have the spirit sticks. And they're actually what?
Oh, they're Slim Jims.
They're Slim Jims. Yeah.
Or as some old Southern men would say, it's a chaw stick.
Chaw stick.
Yeah,
that's
it's a
right.
chaw stick.
And the thing is, you have your silence stick, and he's gone ahead and started the 24-hour silence because he's already pissed off at all the kids because they won't shut up.
Well, with this 24-hour silence thing, I wanted to touch back on the actual real Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
So that's actually a part of the Order of the Arrow is a 24-hour oath of silence. So that's actually when talk about continuity for like the reference that
really the 24-hour thing's a real thing.
The 24-hour thing is actually if you want to be a Boy Scout with the Order of the Arrow, you have to have a 24-hour valid silence. So
that's got to just be made up by the troop leaders.
It has to be successful though, because they have a website for it. So I mean, they have like an official like Order of the Arrow website. Yeah, it's oa-bsa.com.
I wonder if there is an age limit.
I would like to go participate.
That's what I'm saying.
Just go be a sponsor and go help out. I'll take my kid with me while dragging him along.
I want my patch.
There you go. Oh, you want your patch? Get our Order of the Arrow patch.
That's right.
Yeah, I should look into that. Yeah.
The reason that Hank is so pissed off is they are saying Womatania before and after they say everything. And this being the boys in the car.
Yeah.
Womatania. And they are playing the license plate spotting game, like you would play with your brothers, sisters, cousins, whatever, when you're on a road trip.
Yeah,
you
right down
spot
the
the different
highway.
license plates.
Yeah.
The problem is they're in Texas, so it's all Texas license plates.
All Texas. Unless you're by the border, it's all Texas plates.
Womatania, Texas, Womatania.
I don't know. These days, a lot of California plates in town. So
that's true.
A lot of California plates.
So, like I mentioned, Dale and Boomhauer are in the truck. Dale thinks it's a good idea to start mooning the children.
Yeah, well, I have to correct Boomhauer here. Boomhauer calls it a pressed ham, which a pressed ham is technically when you press your ass against the window.
Sure.
And he actually does what you call hanging. He rolls the window down and he hangs his butt cheeks out the side of the car. So Boomhauer called it a pressed ham, which just for continuity purposes, it wasn't actually a pressed ham.
We obviously understand, though, that a lot of these people don't understand what the hell Boomhauer's saying.
No, not at all, ever.
Right.
Like, and it's funny because it's throughout the whole show. He tells on them. He gives all kinds of secrets.
He's the
says
first
all
one.
kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
First one to say something.
Yeah.
And it's always gibberish to the person who needs to hear it.
Yeah, so Hank is back reminding them that each time you talk, I take a bite, and 5 bites and you're out.
Yep.
Hank pretends to go to sleep at the wheel. Joseph.
Well, hold on. So
yeah.
Bill looks over at Hank and says, "I'm getting hungry."
Oh, yeah.
And then Hank goes, "Watch this." He said, "I'll help you out." And he grabs it. He's holding on to the steering wheel. And he dips his head down a little bit and he starts to go over and he hits the speed bumps.
Yeah.
And then the kids like, "Oh!"
The kids freak out.
And Bobby says something. He's like, "All right, hand your sticks up, boys." And they all hand the sticks
Bill's
up.
eating all the sticks.
Eating all of them.
Yeah. And they do say something to Randy about that's why your dad wasn't successful or whatever.
Oh, yeah. He goes, "My dad's a successful patent lawyer."
That's right. Poor kid.
And then what did Hank say after that? He said something. He said, "My dad's a successful patent lawyer." And then I can't remember what Hank said right after that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it was funny.
So Bill's still hungry, and so he challenges the kids. He goes, "Who wants $1 to say something?" And then
they all start.
they start saying something. He starts eating their sticks. Yeah. So they pull up to the state park where they're doing the big trip.
Yeah, John Wayne State Park.
John Wayne State Park, yeah, and we see that there's a ton of traffic. Number one, in the great outdoors.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's the funny thing about it is that's kind of, I guess, a joke and like a tongue-in-cheek thing what they do with like this outdoor space. So it's kind of funny whenever you go to these places. I've been to national parks and I've been to like Bryce National Park in Utah and Zion and stuff like that. Well, it's really funny because people that go to those places and stuff like that, they do take care of it and it is clean and stuff like that. They don't throw their trash everywhere. Most people that go to places like that take care of stuff. Yeah. But the line of cars you see at these places is insane. It's like I remember when we got to Zion National Park, just to get into the actual park took us like an hour and 45 minutes when you could see the gate. And then we're like back here, like it's like a 5-minute drive to the gate, and it took like an hour and 45 minutes to get in because of the amount of traffic. And I think that's funny that they added that in the show where you've got all this pollution and stuff happening, all these car emissions, and they're pulling up to John
in
Wayne
the quote-unquote
Park.
great outdoors.
The great outdoors.
We do see that the great outdoors has been taken over by a bunch of hippies.
Bunch of hippies that don't really care too much about the environment as much as they say they do.
They've got a banner on the side of this bus that's parked there. It says Mother Earth Matters. And one of their leaders is up on a rock giving an announcement about the fact that they saved the spotted owl, the Texas spotted owl, the snail darter, and the whooping crane, and they've also eliminated 300 logging jobs, which is weird to me because there's not a lot of logging done here in Texas.
No, there's not. Well, I think that was because around the time in the 90s when this show was airing and stuff like that, that was a big topic around that time was logging in South America and stuff like that.
She also makes the announcement that the brown herbal ecstasy is bad, so please don't take the brown herbal ecstasy.
Brown herbal ecstasy.
Yeah,
leave that alone, guys.
Then we go, we go back over to Hank and his buddies, and Hank makes the comment, "Would it kill a tree if you wore a bra?"
Yeah.
All right, so now we see Peggy on the road. She's out in the middle of nowhere, which
hauling ass,
and that's most trips you take in Texas. You end up out in the middle of nowhere.
Not by choice,
right?
Just because there's a whole lot of nothing.
There's just a whole lot of nothing.
A and B usually,
Like if I drive from where we're at to San Antonio and I take the toll road or whatever, it takes me forever to get there. And the reason that it feels like forever is just that there's just nothing around.
There's nothing on them toll roads in Austin and stuff too. Like you drive down them toll roads and there is absolutely just you're doing 80, 85 and it's just fields.
Mm-hmm. Bobby's trying real hard not to talk. At this point, he's not doing real well.
No, he's not.
But he's trying real hard not to talk. He's
trying.
Hank introduces himself as Kicking Elk.
Kicking Elk. That's an ad lib too. That wasn't scripted or nothing.
Oh,
so
really?
When they were doing that was an ad lib. They popped that up, and I guess Mike Judge and all his eternal wisdom that just sprung forth. But yeah, that was what I was reading about. They said that was an ad lib.
Yeah, he gives them the whole speech about how they need to protect the earth and they need to protect water and so on and so forth. We then go over and we see Peggy finally getting to a destination. She pulls up to the Motel 7 and introduces herself as Senorita Gracia Ibanez, something like that.
Oh, she Gracia Ibanez.
Ibanez,
so,
there we go.
Gracia is grace in Spanish, and then Ibanez is a guitar.
Ah, so she's Guitar Grace.
She's Guitar Grace. So I imagine that Mike Judge being a musician of sorts,
sure,
that's probably where that came from. Yeah.
So she's staying in the Motel 7. We still don't really know why. We know that it's
it's not a 6 or a Super 8?
No, it's a Motel 7. Yeah, we don't want to get in trouble, so it's a Motel 7. Right. So, again, we go back to the boys, and which is weird because we're making kind of a time shift here. Peggy pulls up at night, and the boys and them, I guess it's starting to get dark where they're at, but they're talking about Mother Earth and all this stuff, and they're doing the chant for Wimatanye.
Wimatanye.
Right, and one of the parts of the chant is that the straight arrow is against Bill H.R. 57, which would allow for South American propane imports. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, which I think is fantastic. So
it's a great joke, and it's funny though because we talk about logging and we talk about this. Well, Mike Judge is his roots are in Ecuador and South America, so mentioning all these things, there's South American problems too. So the logging was a South American issue, and then that the import of South American propane and stuff like that.
So we're going on to the snipe hunt now. They brought all these boys out, and they're gonna make them go on a snipe hunt because that's part of the rite of passage. That's part of becoming a man.
It is, and it's I don't know if it's like a worldwide thing. I don't know if it's a Texas thing or if it's a Southern thing.
Yeah,
but
I don't know either.
I don't know
I've heard
how
about
many
it all my
snipe
life.
hunts I participated in.
Yeah.
I was never gullible enough to participate in that because my dad was a little country, so like you can't really pull the wool over somebody that lives in the woods' eyes, I guess. So like as far as that, but I remember going on church camp a bunch of times, and you know, I was always like one of the older ones, and we'd always have the younger guys, and we'd have them out there with their pillowcases and stuff like that out there in the woods for like they're spirit bags. We'd have them out there for like an hour or two, just running around in the darkness looking for nothing. Yeah, and then at the end of it, you'd bring them, and you know, you'd tell them about like they'd use it as a teaching lesson for like blind faith and stuff like that. That's what they used to use it for. But
so Bill hands out their whoop-ass sticks, and their spirit bags, which we now know are ladies' tennis socks.
Probably Lenore's dirty socks.
Lenore's dirty socks.
Wore out heels.
And then they teach them the snipe call, which is woo-loo-loo, woo-loo-loo. That's right. That's right. Yeah. And so they're all off, hunting for snipe, beating the bushes and all this stuff. And then, you know, Hank is in the spirit of, well, let's let them stay out there for about an hour, and then we'll call them back in and let them know what the deal is.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes.
Right. And then we hear a god-awful noise of something being beat to death.
Yeah. Bobby in the bushes beating the hell out of something.
Bobby has, we find out, beat a whooping crane.
Which, in Texas, if you get pulled up on by a game warden and you have just beat the hell out of a whooping crane,
you probably don't want to do that.
You're probably gonna lose your truck, your whatever boat you got with you.
Right.
You probably lose everything that you have in your personal possession at that time.
As Dale says, there's only 5 left in the world. Well, 4
now.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And so Hank is this is where we get a whoa. You know, one of those. And Dale immediately wants to make sure that the group knows that he and Boomhauer came on their own trip.
Yeah,
they don't know them.
Alone.
That's
He's
right.
Like backing up.
We're just here to worship Mother Nature.
And then Hank goes, "Give me the keys, Dale."
Dale, give me the keys.
Give me the keys, Dale.
Yeah,
and that's where you see Bill act as the enforcer too, because so like throughout the show, Dale's always, you know, he's usually the one that's doing something that's like malicious to the group. He's usually the first one to do something that damages the group in some way.
Dale's definitely the one that slips up the most.
Yeah. And it's always, Hank's always like, Bill, sick him. You know? It's like his little guard dog or something. Yeah.
That's right. All right. Well, let's you and I take a little break. We'll hear a word from a few sponsors, and then we'll be right back with the rest of Season 1, Episode 3.
Woo-loo-loo. Ad time, Wimitanye.
And now a word from our sponsors. All right, we're back. We have the boys in a snipe hunt. We see that Peggy is at the Motel 7. We found out that Bobby has beat a whooping crane to death. And Bobby informs everybody that Wimitanye had turned a snipe into a whooping crane. And that's what had really happened. Hank is just ready to ditch the carcass.
And it's funny though, because this like throughout this whole time, Bobby's trying to defend his dad's honor, and my dad's honorable, and then you see him talking about we're just gonna stuff it in the trash can behind Stuckey's, you know, which is a real restaurant.
That's right.
Actual restaurant, Stuckey's.
Well, Stuckey's were basically truck stops for travelers.
So it's kind of like a Buc-ee's.
It was like a Buc-ee's.
Stuckey's was
it was like
Buc-ee's.
A Flying J. It was like, you know,
Pilot,
that kind of
that
stuff.
yeah.
But Stuckey's was known for their pecan log.
The pecan log. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Bucky with the corn nuggets.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But this was it's the white. I don't even know what it is. Like almost marshmallow cream. And it's just this rolled in nuts.
Yeah.
That was what they were famous for. Yeah, it wasn't good.
No, it didn't sound good. It sounds like crap.
No, it wasn't good at all. So they are ready to ditch this thing in the morning. They end up going to bed. They put it in the ice chest. The problem is that in the morning, Hank is awoken by a state trooper.
Yeah, a state trooper,
ranger,
park ranger, park ranger, game and wildlife or whatever. And yeah, he's got a he's walking up with a proximity like GPS thing. Whenever he gets closer, it's like beep 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 beep
Right.
beep 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 beep,
Right.
and then he gets closer to the
Sir,
the
have
ice
you seen
chest,
this whooping crane? Yeah. And then Dale comes hopping out of the tent because they've tied him up and taken all his clothes.
Yep. Oh yes. Hold on. Before this, you see as the game warden, state trooper, who the law enforcement official pulls up, you see if you look at in the background, you could see out of Boomhauer's tent, you could see a half-naked young lady come running out, and then you see Boomhauer running behind her. So that gives us the I think that's the first instance where we see Boomhauer's womanizing
Being
abilities.
the ladies' man
yeah,
kinda
because
thing, yeah.
like you got to think they just pulled up to the state park less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
They've been at this state park, and he's already shagging somebody in the tent like that night kind of thing. So it really shows the power of Jeff Boomhauer.
That's right. So we tell the state trooper that we hadn't seen it, and he informs people that if you see it, let us know because it's real important. And that's when Hank says we're gonna throw it in a dumpster behind the Stuckies. Unfortunately, Bobby is messing with the whooping crane
At the time,
Yeah, and the hippies see it, and so the hippies are screaming, "There it is! Let's get them!"
And they start chasing them. Yeah, they start actually physically chasing them, which is a really funny scene because hippies hugging trees, protecting the earth. They run through all kinds of bird nests and grabbing up trees and plants and
then throw all of their hacky sacks at the car
and
as
frisbees.
as the people finally make
they
it in.
bombarded them, and it's funny because it's like a field of hippies like kicking their hacky sacks in the air, and
That's
then they
right.
all just boom boot them at the car. Yeah.
All right, and then we cut to Peggy, and we find out where she was headed.
Well, she's headed to what'd she say? Zapatos, as they call them in your language.
That's right. She is. She pulls up in front of Lubbock's very big shoes fashions for the large-footed lady.
Yep. And she goes in, and the guy there knows her by her Gracia
made-up
Ibanez.
name.
Ibanez.
That's right.
And it's funny though because she says to him, "I've come for some zapatos," and then she says "shoes," as they call them in your country. And he's a Spanish guy.
He's ready for her though because he's got what he calls an Italian mock alligator.
The Italian mock
That's right.
alligator.
And they get her a coffee and the whole thing. I mean, it's all set up.
It's a whole setup. Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's like, and then she gets her big, huge ski-like shoes, 16 size, was like 16 double E.
We find out that Peggy's shoe size is size 16 triple E.
Triple E.
That's right.
16 triple E.
This is the first reference to Peggy's big feet.
Yeah, and it's real funny too because they do the whole shoe exchange. They do, she buys them or whatever, and then like at the end of that scene, there's two guys carrying one shoebox out to the car because the shoe's so big. And that right there is just so funny, so like unintentionally funny because it's just a straight scene and then they just carrying out this microwave out to the car.
The big box out. Yeah. As Hank and them are hauling ass away from the park, Bobby has again gotten the whooping crane out and he's got it out the window, trying to get the air back into it, trying to resuscitate this bird through Wimatanye. Right. And again, it's like, you got to get that down. Hank is after him. You got to hide the bird. And then they end up at a culvert. Which you want to explain what a culvert is?
A culvert, well, in Texas,
I don't know that it's called that everywhere.
I don't think it's called that everywhere. A culvert's like a ditch. It's just for drainage, for flooding and stuff. And in Texas, we might not get a lot of rain, but when we do get rain, sometimes it's like 3 or 4 days worth of rain.
Right.
And without them culverts and stuff in Texas, I mean, there's still places that are considered like town, like out in Hewitt and stuff, that flood horribly.
Right.
And it's in town. Like you're like in the center of Hewitt, and it's like you can't even drive across the street kind of thing.
Because there's so much rain. Yeah, and they have those big drainage pipes.
Yeah, huge drainage pipes.
And so Hank is trying to shove this dead bird into a drainage pipe, and it won't fit.
Yeah. Well, it's actually for the interstate highway systems. They have those. It's for the entire like I-35 corridor through Texas. That's a part of the highway requirements when they were building the highways in the 60s and stuff like that, was to have proper drainage, because when Eisenhower did the study back in the day to see how fast the military could travel across the United States, because they took them across what was called the Lincoln Highway at the time, and they went from the Midwest and they drove all the way to California, and he wanted to do a time study to see how long it took them to get that far, just in case during the Cold War, in case we had any kind of Russian invasion or whatever. That's what it was really preparing for. and they drove that Lincoln Highway and realized there's no way that we could properly mobilize like Germany did, because the Autobahn and all that. He saw how efficient Germany was at mobilizing their army, and he was like, well, we got to put this highway in, and that was one of the things, was the Lincoln Highway was always flooding and always had flooded issues and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So whenever they were doing the highway designs, they added culverts all the way through it in certain lengths and certain places and stuff like that to attribute for rain. And also, completely unrelated, I know I'm going off topic.
No, you're good.
The highway also has certain lengths that have to be straight for a certain amount of distance. So they have to have straightaways that are a mile long. That way, what they would do in case of like a invasion of the United States, all of the middle berms, all the stuff you see in the middle of the highways, they would clear all that out, and they would have mile stretches that they could use for airstrips. So the whole interstate highway system is designed for military purposes only. Wasn't even made for us.
I didn't know any of that. That's
it was made for the
crazy.
military.
That's great. So the bird won't fit in the drainage.
No, it doesn't. He's sitting there trying to stuff it in the drainage too, and he's not like being gentle or anything. He's just grabbing this bird and he's like trying to stuff
Just
it,
jamming it in there.
like you're stuffing in a Thanksgiving turkey.
And so the bird ends up on the ground again, and Bobby starts kind of praying over it. Right? He's praying
shamanism.
to Weematanya.
Yeah, Weematanya.
Yep. He's trying to get the bird back to life, or he's trying to,
doing
finally
the woo-loo-loo
do the
and-
sacrifice. Yeah. And Hank has to tell him that it's all BS.
And that's a hard point for Hank at this point, because Bobby, like I said, Bobby's just defended Hank to the hilt, and now he's got to say in front of everybody after he's already told dang, what the hell's his name? John Redcorn's son. I don't know
Joseph. Joseph.
Yeah, I completely blanked on that. So yeah, he even tells Joseph, "Oh yeah, no, my dad's an honorable man," and all this, and then eventually he's like, "Well, it's all fake."
Well, and they have this talk, and Bobby questions whether they're on the same team and stuff, and Hank tells him, that we're on Team Hill. It's just you and I, and Team Hill is going to bury this whooping crane.
Yeah.
And so Hank and Bobby, they get they're praying over the bird. And here comes the park ranger.
Yep.
Finds them with a hippie in tow, and they're ready to arrest them. Because they beat this whooping crane up. And what happens?
Whooping crane flies off.
That's right. The whooping crane gets up.
It absolutely inflates Bobby's brain into thinking he's some kind of ancient shaman with these magical shamanism and these shaman-like powers to bring this whooping crane back to life.
Yeah, Bobby literally calls himself a shaman.
Yeah.
And the park ranger informs Hank that, I guess knocking a crane unconscious isn't against the law, so you're free to go.
Yeah, which technically he probably would have gotten in trouble for that, even if the whooping crane was okay.
Yeah, I think so. But I'm willing to let him go. Suspend disbelief there.
Well, yeah, Hank gets away with a lot. They get,
sure,
they get away with a lot.
When we get into the fishing episode later,
it really blows my mind that his best friend ends up being a Texas Ranger at the end of it all. But it really shows that, for me, it really with Boomhauer, eventually being revealed as a cop, it really speaks to the duality of being a police officer.
Oh yeah,
because he's still a human being with friends that want to cut up and have fun, but at the end of the day, he's still a cop. But you see all the humanity, and you never see the actual job side of who he is, where you see what Bill does for a living, you see what Dale does for a living, you see what Hank does for a living, but you never see what Boomhauer does. He just seems like this womanizer, just riding around with he's fell into money or something. That's what I always thought. He's just a womanizer that has had a rich dad or a rich uncle or rich somebody in his family. When it turned out he was just a Texas Ranger the whole time, which is really weird. But I like it, and I really hope that in this new show, the new which if everybody doesn't know. About 3 weeks ago, I believe it is now, Mike Judge and Greg Daniels revealed that underneath a new production company called Bandera Animation or Bandera Entertainment, I don't know what they've called it. It's Bandera is the name. Yeah. They have rebooted Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill, and they're aging them up 15 years. 15
years on these guys. So I don't know what they're doing with Brittany Murphy's character, Luann.
I don't know either. She'll be about 35.
And Tom Petty's character, Lucky.
Yeah.
Because they were integral part of the show at the end.
And then you got to think Cotton and...
Yeah, Cotton's dead.
Actually, Cotton could technically still be alive, but he would be in his very late 90s if he is still alive. Because World War II vets are on their way out, but he
dies in the show later.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's
Yeah, he
gone.
does.
He's definitely
Yeah.
gone anyway. But as far as everybody's aged up,
Spoiler
it's supposed to be
alert, he
like,
does.
yeah, spoiler alert. Yeah, we're full of spoilers. So I think like Luann's supposed to be like 35, Bobby's supposed to be like 28.
I just can't wait to
Hank
see.
and Peggy are in their mid 60s at
I
this time.
cannot wait to see a 30-year-old Bobby.
I can't wait to see a 30-year-old Bobby.
30-year-old
and
Joseph.
I can't
also.
wait to see like
what happened to him.
a 60-year-old Dale.
Yeah.
Like a 60-something-year-old Dale is
Yeah.
that's what I'm really looking forward to, is seeing Dale and then seeing what they do with Boomhauer. And then you know what would be really funny with Bill? If Bill like got his shit together and then like we see Bill as like this fit guy like he was in his previous life, you know, before he met Lenore and everything. When he was in the military, he was all like fit and everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's gonna be good.
Or he's back with Lenore.
Or he's back with
One or the
Lenore.
other.
One or
Yeah,
the
yeah,
other,
yeah.
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 Lenore figured her life out and came back. Yeah.
Yeah, either
That'd
one of
be
those
funny.
would be fantastic. Okay, and then we get our credits and we get our slow roll of the song out. And then we have a post-credit scene, which is not common for King of the Hill.
Not common for
Yeah.
a lot of these animated shows.
Sure.
You don't really get a lot of that.
Yeah, you get maybe some quotes thrown at you at the end during the credits or something like
well,
that.
usually with King of the Hill, they have a one-liner at the very end at the production screen.
Yeah,
and,
that came from the show.
Yeah,
This
that
is an
particular
entirely-
episode. I think at the end of this one, it was woo loo loo,
Yeah.
woo loo loo, Bobby screaming.
But this is an entirely new clip that we have at the end. Hank's home, Peg's home. She's got this giant box
Huge
that's got
box.
the shoes on it.
Yeah.
And she's taking a file and filing off the number 1 on it, so it looks like it's a size 6.
Yes, he doesn't want being married for as long as they've been married.
Yeah.
You would think that by this
She's
point,
still-
like, you know, it's like farting in front of your significant
right.
other.
That's
like,
right.
she's been with Hank so long, you figured that the shoe size and stuff wouldn't matter. But
Yeah.
she still tries to hide it, and that whole episode is her literally just trying to hide the fact that she was buying big ass
I
shoes.
love that she would have a size 6 versus a 16.
16.
There-
Yeah,
There's
size
no way you
6
pass
would
that
be
off.
like this big, and a 16
Yeah,
is
that's
like
right.
you know,
That's
huge comparison.
So Hank asked her, how'd it go over the weekend? Did you do a little shopping? She said, yeah, I bought a microwave. He goes, man, this family goes through microwaves like crazy. Like people go through
people
shoes.
go through shoes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, another fun fact on this episode, I didn't add it earlier, so I add it now. So when Bobby and Joseph are in the tent in the living room, and they almost say the F word, there's only 3 instances in this episode, in this show, where a curse word is almost used. There's that instance, and there was another one with Ted. I can't remember his last name. He's the
Wasanasong.
Wasanasong. So it's Ted Wasanasong. He says pig fucker in some episode, but they end up changing it to pig farmer.
Right.
And then there's another episode where Dale says the F word, but there's only 3 instances of that. They're all, muted or whatever it is, but those are the 3 instances.
Yeah, I don't remember
Thought
any
that was interesting.
bleeps.
No, there's no bleeps. I don't think they have any bleeps. They
I mean,
might. I might go back and look at those episodes that have that and see if they bleep them out or not.
I think it's funnier when you bleep or blur somebody's mouth out, a
Yeah,
lot of the
yeah.
time. But in animation, that's a little
Yeah, it
rough.
didn't work in animation as well.
Yeah.
I like the almost cuss, like where he goes fuck, and then she's like, "Oh, I know half a cuss word when I hear
half a
one."
swear word
Well, it
when I
reminds
hear
me
it.
of
That's
like
right.
being a kid, and
Yeah.
you heard all the cuss words and stuff
Sure.
like that, and you might mutter one under your breath, and then your
Right.
mom barely hears what you said. You're like,
Right.
"Oh, she didn't hear me, did she?" I was really bad about that when I was a kid, muttering stuff under my breath, and I remember specifically one time. My mom was like, she had called my name to come to the other room, and as I was walking towards her, underneath my breath, I had said, "What the fuck does she want now?"
Sure.
And she heard me. She heard me enough.
no.
That little breathy, "What the fuck does she want
Yeah.
now?" And she says, "Well, I want you to do what you're told. That's what I want you to do." And she said, "For cussing, you can go sit down and wait till your dad gets home."
That's funny. Yeah, I used to record these tapes as a DJ because I was a lonely little only child. And so I would get these cassettes and I would record like my DJ radio show.
Yeah.
Right. With songs and stuff in between, but I would cuss like a friggin' sailor for some reason.
Yeah.
And my dad found those tapes one time and he was not happy.
No,
Yeah,
I'm sure he wasn't.
Not a great day.
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't.
Here's another fucking song. That
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah, here you
just
go.
stupid stuff like
That's
that.
kind of cool, yeah. I did something similar to that. I did it with accents, though. I would record myself doing different accents.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and just talking shit in different accents.
Oh, that's funny.
I wish I knew where all that stuff was. Probably lost the time.
You were going to be a voice actor.
Yeah, voice actor. That's what I guess that was the goal at that time. I don't know
Yeah.
what that was. Yeah, it was fun though. Whatever it was, I was really good with accents as a kid. I'm not as good at them now, but
Right.
I used to be able to do. I used to be able to do the whole entire King of the Hill cast.
Time does take a lot of that away from us.
puberty.
That's true.
That's pretty much where all of it went.
Ball
I could do
dropping
all
does
the
it.
I could do all the voices and stuff. I used to be able to do the whole King of the Hill cast, but
Wow.
when my voice changed, whatever it was, I lost it all.
Well, this is one of my favorite episodes because it's so succinct. It's so quick. You involve almost every one of the characters.
Well, I think when
It's a really good one.
done with this season, we do a cap episode for the season. I think this right here will probably hit top 3 for the season as far as episodes go.
Well, you find out so much about the characters in this one.
Yeah, and it's like I think the first 2 episodes are like a good structural, give you like the architecture of the show kind of thing, and then the 3rd episode, the jokes really take stride. You really have like every scene is just boom, 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 joke, 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 joke. Whereas 1 and 2. The first 2 episodes, it doesn't seem as pointed. You don't seem to get as many, direct jabs as you did in 3. So I feel like that's where they're starting to get their legs underneath them, the writers. They're starting to get a feel for it.
This is one of those episodes where, and this happens a lot in situation comedies, where you start to learn the characters, so the jokes are based on the characters rather than general situations.
Yeah. It's character jokes too,
Yeah, and that, as a viewer, you start getting paid off for watching.
Yeah, and you start to take all these people in, and start to like. You start liking them and start thinking about them, and they become more personable to you. More relatable.
And you know about their limitations, and you know about their successes and their tragedies and all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's comedy is that juxtaposition between tragedy and and good things, and that's laugh now, cry later kind of thing. You know what I mean? And that's what this whole show really does touch on. The whole King of the Hill series really does that throughout the whole show. It's they make fun of tragedy, and they really do speak a lot on like the life tragedies and stuff. Or really, like, if you really took out all the humor out of it and you were watching it, you would think you were watching Jerry Springer.
It's true.
You get like even the
especially
Laotian
Bill.
Well, even the Laotian guy in the neighborhood goes on the like when he turns into a wild redneck and he does the fighting and stuff like that. Like even he has those kind of struggles.
Well, you find out that he's on medication and all kinds of. I mean,
it's a really good show that really teaches you and shows you that we're all human beings at the end of the day, and everybody's fucked up in some way, shape, or form. And you got to stick together as a community, and everybody get through all the bullshit together, kind of thing. That's what I like about the show.
It's so weird it's so weird that animation is so much easier to teach us that than
an actual sitcom or something
people.
like that. Yeah, it is. And I think what it is because it allows, like in an actual TV show with actual actors and stuff like that, you have to kind of skirt around certain things. You can't be as direct because those people have to exist as human beings outside of the show, and it's hard for some viewers to detach the person from what's actually the content of the show. So they get wrapped up in, political correctness and stuff like that. And then the actor that acted in this, this scene or said something that was off color or something, they're the ones that get, vilified for it, even though they're not even the ones that wrote it. They're just the ones that acted in the show.
And at the time that this was going on, you still had a lot of shows with studio audiences and things like that that elicited reactions from the audience with applause signs or awe, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and
that just never would have worked on a show like this.
It would never have. I don't think that you could have done that with the animated shows, and I think that's what makes the animated shows good is you don't have to have that canned laughter or nothing like that. It's all real. It's all like the laughter is up to you to find the joke. It's up to you to find what's funny.
And I think shows have learned a lot from that sort of setting. So again, The Office and anything that Justin Spitzer did afterwards.
Yeah, because absolutely, you got to remember this is like revolutionary stuff for television.
It really
was. All these adult animated programs with The Simpsons and everything. Like at this point, The Simpsons only like 6-7 years old when the show aired, I think. So
and such a difference between those two shows because The Simpsons you could do otherworldly type stuff. This was all based in reality.
Yeah.
There was gravity here. There was sadness here. There was happiness here.
Yeah.
There was
Well, I feel like what it is like an adults. It's like the adults taking over cartoons again for themselves because like cartoons in their original format were targeted for adults.
Right.
Because kids were working in the mills and stuff, and they're at work while we're enjoying leisurely movies and news clips and stuff.
Sure.
So of course
the good old days. You mean?
The good old days. Yeah.
Right.
Back when everybody earned an income in the household. Right. Come on, Tim, give me your check. 10 years old. Yeah, give me everything you earned. What'd you get? 10 pence.
I
That's
earned
mine.
an apple.
Yeah.
That's right.
So you get that it's like recapturing animation because like it starts off, animation started off for adults, and then you get the golden era of cartoons in the late 70s, 80s, 90s, and then boom, you have this like huge surgence of adult animated comedies through Adult Swim and Comedy Central and all these other Fox.
And then the development of computer power.
Computer animation
making computer animation so viable as far as an option goes, then you could just pump this stuff out.
Yeah. Well, remember, 7 seasons of King of the Hill were all hand drawn, so they still did it for even when the technology was there. They were still hand drawn.
Well, I'm saying, and that's a very good point on them. I'm saying these days, though, you see so much animation because
There's
you can just
so
pump
much
it out.
Yeah, it's easy. Like the amount of animated content now that you have targeted towards adults, like you could watch a new show every day.
Yeah,
and I really think that without like The Simpsons, King of the Hill, and Futurama and stuff like that, all those early ones, you might not have as much of this great animated comedy that we get. And Adult Swim, too, was pretty revolutionary. I had to give them their props because as far as animated comedies go, they probably had some of the more like cult hits.
Oh, yeah.
Outside of the mainstream where you got Fox being mainstream.
Space Ghost is always the one that we talk about. But, that's the one that brings it to life for me. And I read last night that Futurama's being rebooted on Hulu.
Futurama, here we go. That's good, too.
More Futurama.
Man.
Yep.
The timeline's getting better. I mean, I thought it was going to, it was starting to go pretty dark, you know, or at least, get a little light and some darkness here. I kind of like that.
The only thing is the guy who does Bender won't be there.
Oh, well.
So it's going to be somebody else doing his voice.
Well, we'll see how that goes.
Which, I mean, I'm sure it'll be fine. Same writers, same
writers
situations.
And so I hope that, that could kill it for me, though. I'm not gonna lie.
True.
Voices for me means, it's a big deal. It's just like with this new reboot of King of the Hill, like, how are the voices going to pan out? Because they don't have any...
Well, you know what's funny about all that is all the talking about computer technology and all the animation and stuff versus live action. If anybody watches the Mandalorian Star Wars show or the Book of Boba Fett, you will see a young Luke Skywalker in one of the episodes. And I don't know, maybe more past that. That's what I watched, is one episode where there is a young Luke Skywalker teaching Grogu, who is Baby Yoda, how to be a Jedi. And it's obvious that it couldn't be the real Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
That they aged him down with computers. And then I read that...
but it was Mark Hamill playing the role, but they had aged him down? Or
No. I read that the voice was not voiced by anybody. What they did is they took every word that Mark Hamill said as Luke Skywalker, fed it into a computer, and then an AI did all of his speaking for him.
Wow. Hey, it's kind of funny you mentioned that.
But think about that. You're getting away from using real actors.
Using real actors.
At this point.
You don't even have to use actors.
So even real acting is going to sorts of animation, kind of.
That's how they finished one of the Fast and the Furious movies after Paul Walker died.
Yeah.
They used his voice, and they had his brother doing the actual physical part, and they used AI to do his voice. And it's funny about this AI thing that you're talking about because I've seen the deep fake stuff that they do on the internet.
That was the other thing. They used a deep fake artist to do his face.
Well, there's a streamer that I watch. He's a political streamer that I watch, and he has what he calls, it's an atmosphere that's around him of content creators that take his content and put clip videos and stuff like that, and they make money off of his content too. But he doesn't ever DMCA flag anybody because he's a millionaire, and the way he sees it is I'm making my money. Why not spread the wealth, even though they're using his content to make money?
Sure.
But there's this one guy, specifically a YouTube creator called Austinox, and he does these deep fake videos and stuff, and he'll take these streamers and he'll do all this AI and all this CGI and voice stuff, and he'll make video clips of them saying stuff, but it's not them, it's just this deep fake stuff, and it's him really just trying to show everybody how crazy this technology is and how you could even live stream with this technology and use somebody else's complete identity to live stream.
That's coming. Yeah, you're going to have, you've already got concerts by avatars. Like
Fortnite. Fortnite does. They have concerts in the middle of video games now.
They do live shows, like where you and I would buy a ticket, go into an auditorium, and watch an avatar on a screen give a concert. Yeah, that's the creepiest. Weirdest thing to me
They have
ever.
it now where you sit at home. So my son, there was like a Travis Scott concert or something, but I was like, well. Like, how much are the tickets? Or when is it? Are we gonna, do I need to? Or you going with a friend? Are we chaperone? Or what are we doing? And he was like, oh no, we're just gonna sit in the living room and watching on TV. I was like, what are you talking about? He said, well, inside the video game. So you load into your game and you're in like this open lobby with other people and it's just huge. Like it's just a concert right in front of your face kind of thing. Yeah, metaverse.
Yeah. Ready Player One.
Well, I was looking through that too because we got him a VR headset for Christmas. And I was looking through just the features of it, just checking out parental controls, really playing with it. And while I was doing that, there's like the MLB has like a contract to where they do baseball games in VR. They've got a whole concert series of different artists and stuff that you could pay $2 or whatever it is, and you get to watch it like a live concert. Yeah, and it's all like on your head. Like there was another thing I saw where Walmart had been working on the technology to where you could shop in your headset. Walmart. So you're walking around Walmart in your VR headset, throwing your groceries into the basket.
Nope, I'm done. Yep, I'm good. Thanks.
That's what I said. I was like, like if you like when I'm doing online shopping, it's to like take away from the experience of having to walk around and shop. So why would I want to do it virtually? I don't even want to do it in real life.
Here,
it's kind of crazy.
Go throw your trash away virtually.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Like, I mean, why
I
would
probably
you want that?
will try it out. Just for fun.
Yeah, I said I'm done, but I'll do it too. Yeah, I hate putting one of those things on my head.
I don't like it either. It gives me a headache after about 30 minutes.
That's the next hump, right? If you can get over me having to put something on my head that big, then maybe we're talking.
Well, soon it's going to be just as simple as our glasses here, Mike.
And that would be fine. I'd be okay with the glasses.
Won't be long. Yeah.
But yeah.
They just got to condense everything. That's all it is now, is condensing the technology to smaller.
If you've stuck with us this long, remember this is a King of the Hill rewatch podcast, and we're now
King of the
talking
Hill
VR. Yeah. So, all right. Well, that was season 1, episode 3, Order of the Straight Arrow, and really great episode. It was fun again, Rusty. Always have fun.
Oh, absolutely. Wimitanye, check us out on RogueMediaNetwork.com.
Wimitanye, indeed. And just remember, I am so depressed I can't even blink.
Can't even blink.
Bye.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.
Foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about.
Hey, I'm Zach.
And I'm Mike.
And we have a fantastic new podcast to tell you about. Bros, Foes, and Heroes. It's the two of us looking into the world of comics, breaking down some characters that you may have never heard of, and some that are just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, so Zach comes up with a character each time, and I go into it just completely blind. I don't know who this person is or what their abilities are or anything, and basically I guess we kind of go over their origin story and just some of the ridiculous stuff that maybe, especially Golden Age stuff.
Oh, Golden Age stuff is always the best, and we will make sure to highlight all of the shenanigans and just absolute weirdness of everything.
Yeah, that's right. So subscribe today and follow us on Instagram at Bros, Foes, Heroes.
And if you don't, I know where you live. Not really, but please subscribe.
Bros and foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about bros and foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about.
Welcome to One Star Rewind, a new podcast about those dreaded one-star reviews that every business owner hates to receive, but yet every customer loves to read. During this podcast, we will peel back that one-star review to better understand how it happened, when it happened, and what the business owner is doing after receiving that one-star review. This podcast will be about love, hate, and laughter. On One Star Rewind, we will meet with real business owners who will tell their stories and how they do rely on reviews for their business. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or download us at RogueMediaNetwork.com. Please subscribe, but only rate and review for not a one-star review. Join us each time for a new review and a new story.